Hi, I'm Dan Blanchett. I am a game designer at Renegade Game Studios, and I am the co-designer of the Transformers deck building game. My earliest memories of Transformers. I was very much an 80s kid and actually an 80s teenager. So I was hooked on Transformers back then during the early cartoons and the movie at that time. And I owned all the toys. In fact, Transformers represented the last toys I would play with before I finally decided to put toys away and move on to other distractions like Nintendo and things like that. It was a bit of an unfortunate transition period for me and my mom, actually, because at the height of my Transformers fandom back then, when I was like 13 or whatever, I was beginning to phase out of playing with toys. And much to my mom's chagrin, she had invested heavily in Transformers that Christmas. And the very next summer, I was selling them all at the yard sale that summer. She obviously was not amused, and she's given me grief about that for years. I'm extremely excited to work on Transformers. Aside from the nostalgia of it, and the fact that I'm a fan, that's obviously cool. It's a very large sandbox to play in. There's like all these different characters, storylines, continuities. We're of course focused on the G1 era, the original cartoon, the representation in IDW comics and whatnot. And that alone just offers a ton of inspiration. So that's exciting. I mean, just to have that much content to work with, decades worth to draw from, it gives you a lot of agency as a game designer. And that's always a great, place to start from. I think one of the biggest surprises, at least for me, was just the sheer amount of content out there with all the different stories and all the different ways that Transformers has been interpreted over the years. It gives you so many looks and things to focus on. We were reining our thoughts in on the G1 era, but even within that, there's just a lot going on. So I think I was surprised by how many different storylines and characters and reinterpretations of the same material that have happened over the decades, and how that has generated so many different types of fans. I grew up with the G1 cartoon, and then there's other people who come from like Beast Wars or the Prime cartoon or the Bayverse movies. And so you're having to address all these different levels of fandom and what their different touchstones are. And I was surprised as how much was out there, and it was exciting to learn about that and to delve a lot deeper into the franchise than I had previously. A big part of developing a game like this is finding a great group of dedicated playtesters. People who are not only avid gamers, but actually have like extensive knowledge of the lore is extremely helpful, because they can give you the kind of feedback you need to make sure you're hitting the right notes when it comes to the theme. Just maybe a certain card or a certain character, they would have a deeper understanding of how those mechanics would look versus someone who had no knowledge of that franchise and would just look at it just from a deck building point of view. So finding those players who had both skills, who are avid gamers with deck building especially, and also Transformer fans, where they're like a gold mine for us. And they become such a huge part of our process. We could not have made this game without their involvement and their feedback. It's like an ongoing iteration process. And I was really impressed with how dedicated they were and just how available they were during this whole journey. It's been really, really rewarding, and they deserve a lot of credit. They're the unsung heroes. The advice I would give to aspiring game designers is just to get out there and do it. Just to start making games. There's a lot of great resources online, even through Facebook groups, to kind of find a community to work within, and other people like yourself to play each other's games. But my process was always just learn by doing. I like to get in there and just make mistakes and learn from that. They say fail fast, so you want to get those prototypes onto the table as soon as possible, and not spend years dwelling on it. You want to get out there and just see what you have and then build on that, because game design is a very iterative process. It's this constant development of the idea that just changes a lot over time, and what you think you might have in the beginning is going to be very different once you have it on the table and you put it in front of other humans. So getting to that process as quickly as possible is I think one of the most important things you can do. So we have two Facebook groups that you would find interesting. One is Renegade Tabletop Playtesters. You can go there and sign up to be a playtester for us, and we send out emails whenever we have opportunities. And if you want to follow along and see what's up with the Transformers deck building game, you can go to the Transformers Tabletop Gamers Facebook group. That'll be basically probably the best place of information where you can get follow along with what's going on with that game and anything else we do in the Transformers line down the road.